Thank you. Welcome everyone to Turf Moor, to a new season and a new league for both these two, for Burnley and for West Ham United. Well, it's an all too familiar return to the Championship for the Clarets, who once again start a season at this level with plenty of change, including one of head coach. For West Ham, well, it's the first time in 15 years that they will kick off a season outside the elite. So they take the first steps on the long road that is the season in this league. That 46-game steeplechase, full of pitfalls, full of challenges, and always full of drama. Well, Burnley have seen plenty go out of the door so far this summer. Arrivals, they've been a little slower. The most recent one, though, Max Elaine. He came in on loan from Manchester City and goes straight in for a debut. Joe Worrell drops out of the side, and that is the only change from the 11 that started in the Carabao Cup last week. The first change of English League football for Ugo Raghuba, a summer signing from Lille. Burnley fans do fear that Zian Fleming may not finish the month as one of their players, but he starts here today. Last season's top scorer will lead the line. Armando Broja's barely featured in pre-season or in the Cup last week, but he is named on the bench today. Well, you look at this West Ham side and you perhaps see why they're most people's favourites for promotion. 6 of this 11 started the final game in the Premier League last season. The departure of Crescencio Somerville offset by the arrival of Israeli international Manos Solomon from Spurs. There's a debut for him. Edson Alvarez has a knock, he hasn't travelled, so Lewis Orford gets his chance to impress in midfield once again. But undoubtedly the most significant news of the summer came last month. Jared Bowen agreeing to stay and spearhead the promotion campaign. He will kick off at this level for the first time in 7 seasons. James Ward-Prowse finished last season here on loan at Turf Moor. He's amongst the Hammers substitutes. Well, just time for a little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. A reminder of the new laws and regulations that you'll see in place in the Championship this season. Firstly, those that concern substitutions. Time limit on those, 10 seconds to get off, or the changes put on ice for a minute. We saw this in play in the Carabao Cup at Middlesbrough with Will Lancashire. And now the goalkeeper injuries to cut out engineered breaks in play. Outfield players must leave the pitch if the keeper is down, the exception in the case of fouls or collisions. And finally, the rules over the restarts, goals, kicks and throw-ins. A 5-second count can be brought in to speed things up and prevent time wasting. It's the referee who'll decide whether the count is necessary, and indeed when it starts. If you fall foul of this rule, then you could see possession awarded to the opposition. Well, a new face to the Sky Bet Championship, Nicky Hyan. He's never managed in this country before. It's his 46th birthday today, so many happy returns. It'll be interesting to see whether he has been able to impose his methods on the team after a lacklustre display here last week. Well, there's a man who knows his way around the Championship block, even though it is a few years since his Golden Boys at Molineux took the division by storm. That was back in 2017-18. Can he work similar magic, alchemy if you like, with this class of 2026 for West Ham? Burnley in claret, West Ham in blue. It'll be the Hammers attacking the cricket ground end of Turf Moor on a mild and breezy afternoon in Lancashire as the Sky Bet season gets underway for these two relegated Premier League sides. Tati Castellanos snapping in early on for West Ham. We've got a healthy travelling contingent who are behind the goal that they attack, and here's Jared Bowen. Such a massive moment in their summer that they were able to convince Jared Bowen to stay. And he looks on as Burnley make their way up the pitch. This is Brun Larsen. He's got a good delivery on him and tries to show that here. And it's just looked over the top by Zian Fleming inside the first minute.
Well, it's brilliant from Burnley. Initially, Bashir Humphries does so well one-on-one against Jared Bowen. He wins that battle. And then Burnley swiftly go up the pitch. They don't just pass the ball around and keep it. They go at West Ham. It's a difficult chance. It's around hip heights. You're really trying to improvise a little bit and just kind of flick it goalwards. Just can't keep it down, Fleming, but positive start from the home team.
11 Premier League goals last season, one of them coming against West Ham, albeit coming in one of the 2 defeats that they suffered at the hands of the Hammers.
Yeah, that Burnley shape was a kind of a cause for debate before kick-off. It looks like they're operating with a back 4. Brun Larsen's operating down this left-hand side. He can at times maybe drop back in to make it a back 5, but in possession, looks like they're going to be positive.
Well, the drum that has been beat by the new Burnley head coach Nicky Hine has very much been about front-footed approach and courage. He called the performance here against Notts County last week, where they had to have penalty kicks to take their place in the second round of the Carabao Cup, average at best. There's Bashir Humphries. And Kuba. Now Fleming. An extra buzz of anticipation when the ball ends up with the Dutchman. Brun Larsen. Fleming got a little touch on it. Edwards trying to get beyond, but he's lost his footing and in so doing lost possession as well. And one of West Ham's academy products, Oliver Scarles, can clear away, but Burnley have started this in positive style.
Yeah, good start from Burnley, good start from Brun Larsen down the left-hand side, so vitally important. Walker-Peters, the right back for West Ham, gets tight with his man, doesn't allow him to get fairly easy crosses into the box.
And here we are, August the 16th, 2026, the last time the fans here at Turf Moor saw a home league win 10 months ago, over 300 days now. So adds extra importance on result performance, just to inject a little bit of optimism and stop the rot. February since they've won the league match anywhere, but they come forward again with purpose. And it's fired just wide by Aaron Ramsey, who sparkled at times in pre-season and gets a good sighter there.
And that's exactly where he wants to be, in between those West Ham lines. He's maybe slightly selfish here because he's got a simple pass out to his left to Brun Larsen. He goes back in field, he goes back into traffic, into West Ham defenders. And it's difficult, you've got to wrap your instep around that, keep it on target. And I think it's the wrong choice, taking the shot on, should have played the ball out to his left. What you can see in possession, Burnley is a back 3 with Son pushing on down the right and Brun Larsen operating down the left. So in essence, it's a back 3 with wing-backs when they have the ball.
Fleming. And time for Kante, who's playing more centrally than he did in the Cup last week. Really inviting ball across goal, and it took Walker-Peters to come across and get it behind.
It's great defensive awareness. He knows a cross is going to come in. He's always goal side of his man, Brun Larsen, and that is vitally important. If he goes to sleep there, Brun Larsen gets a run on him. It's a tap-in. It's where the fullback needed to be.
Set-piece situations were a problem all campaign last year for West Ham. 15 Premier League goals conceded from corners, and here they face the first of the year in the Championship. Hannibal will take for Burnley. Our referee is Josh Smith, who is going to have a word after pushing and shoving in the box. Very congested inside that 6-yard area. Brun Larsen in position on the edge of the box, but it's an overhit. And goes away to safety. And West Ham can just take a breath and compose themselves after a really spirited first 5 minutes from the home side.
Yeah, I think Nicky Hine will be very pleased. His team, yes, they've dominated the ball, that's what he wants, but it's getting the ball into the most dangerous area, the final third, get it into that West Ham box, create chances, don't just keep the ball for the sake of it. It's possession with purpose, and they've started well.
West Ham are the out-and-out top tips, aren't they, to bounce back for most people. They've kept their captain, they've kept their coach. Last week's record crowd at home in the Cup, and indeed the attendance here and the amount of season tickets that they've sold suggests that they very much kept the fans on side. And now the real work starts. The Burnley side still finding their way under their new head coach. Didn't get a single win in any of their pre-season games, for what that's worth. And as we've said already, laboured and were probably fortunate in the end to get through on penalties last week in the Carabao Cup. Manor Solomon, first chance for him to stretch his legs down that West Ham left. Encouraging signs from him as he takes on three and competes well against them. Kilman, Solomon once more. Here's Scarles. Kante now. Pablo. Neat little flick from Castellanos. This is better from West Ham, and this is Bowen working it onto his left. Burnley wise to that particular trick and had plenty of bodies there.
See, when Solomon's in possession, when Bowen's in possession, how many Burnley players are around those two really dangerous wide players. When they drop a shoulder, come in field, you've got to close them down.
Scarles gets it in, just a little too high for Bowen. From Larson. Raguba, who spent last season on loan in Spain with Levante. Hannibal. Didn't quite pick the pass correctly to release the fleet-footed Edwards down the right, so Scarles could cut it off.
Yeah, it's just not enough on the pass, but really clever from Zian Fleming. He dropped back into midfield. Hannibal actually went beyond him, but he linked the play. Again, getting in between those West Ham lines, getting on the ball and turning them around quickly.
It's an awkward time of the season, isn't it, for both these two who have plenty of players that they want to keep and that other people will be keeping an eye on. Zian Fleming very much comes into that category. It's not really until the transfer window closes that you can accurately assess exactly where they stand, where their squads are at. You would suspect, and certainly the fans will hope, there'll still be a fair bit of movement. West Ham, of course, who have broken the Championship transfer record this week in signing the Danish midfielder Arne Engels from Celtic. £22 million. He didn't travel up here, but he will be ready for the up-and-coming matches, which come thick and fast.
Of course, West Ham have huge amounts of money to spend with the sales of Fernandes and Somerville. It's spending that money wisely, getting players that are Championship ready can have a huge effect on their season.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more departures. Edson Alvarez, the Mexican international who was last in competitive action last week, but before that for Mexico in the World Cup against England when he came on and played at the heart of defence. Here's Bowen. Walker-Peters. Orford's ball will end up with Scarles. Neat work by Castellanos. Pablo Felipe got in the way, but they do have a corner, West Ham.
Yeah, positive start from Burnley, but West Ham just starting to get on the ball, dictate the tempo of the game, get high up the pitch, get their dangerous players on the ball. Like Bowen and Solomon, and get their two strikers. When they have the ball, those two, in terms of Castellanos and Pablo, will get into the penalty area and cause problems. So Burnley started well, now they've got a bit of defensive work to deal with.
The skipper on corner kick duties, Jared Bowen. And a free header and an opening goal for West Ham. Max Kilman was there to meet it. No one was with him. And barely 10 minutes into the new season, Burnley find themselves behind as West Ham hit the front.
It's such a simple goal. Defensively, it's just dreadful. You really have to switch on from set pieces, stay with your men. No wonder Nicky Hine can't believe it. As I said, his side made a positive start. They give a set piece away and then just simply don't do their jobs. I think Ramsey's actually picking up Kilman and just lets him get goal side of him. The ball in's a decent one. You know, it's flat, it's pacey, keeper can't come and deal with it. And it's just a simple nod in at the far post. That shouldn't happen. You know, Ramsey's got to do more. You've got to be strong. You've got to stay goal side of a big centre-half. That is just too easy for West Ham to score.
And that's a lovely moment for Max Kilman, who's had his problems. It's his first goal for the club. He had a difficult time last season, but here he is in his 68th appearance for West Ham, getting his first goal for the club.
Well, it is a kind of a mismatch, really. You've got an attacking midfielder up against a big centre-half. You wonder why you do that. I think they do that just to free up other players to maybe go and attack the ball. So it's man-for-man marking. It doesn't matter who it is, you've got to stay goal side of your man. It should be fairly comfortable. If you do that, you probably get fouled. You can't get rolled. You can't get turned around that easily, whoever you are. So, no, Ramsey has to do better from that situation.
Well, we know it's a different season, we know it's a different league, a lot of different players, but you did always feel with this one that the first goal would be important, given the damage, that you like, the mental damage that Burnley brought into the season. They conceded the first goal here at Turf Moor 13 times last season, didn't win any, managed 3 draws overall. 28 times in the Premier League last season they conceded first. They won 1, which was their last win back in February when they came from 2 down at Crystal Palace.
For a coach, this is why football can be so frustrating. You have your game plan, you have your tactics, but if players just go to sleep on set pieces in particular, you're going to get punished. You can make a decent start, you can get into forward positions, get crosses in, but if you don't switch on from set plays, you're going to be punished. And against a side like West Ham, who can maybe open you up with 20 passes, they've got quality set-piece takers and big lads coming up from the back, so you've got to deal with that problem much better than they did.
And slides Bowen, but Ramsey is able to feed Brun Larsen. Ramsey has slipped and put it wide. An opportunity well worked, well created, but not quite finished in the same manner.
Yeah, the build-up play absolutely excellent. Exactly where Ramsey wants to be, supporting the play, stepping onto the ball. He just seems to lose his footing and be kind of stretching for the strike. If he's in control of this, he just really wraps his instep around it and passes it into the bottom corner. He just slips as he strikes it. It's a good chance gone.
You feel he has the potential, Aaron Ramsey, to be an important player for Burnley this season in the Championship. He's got experience from his time at Norwich and Middlesbrough in this league when he was coming through the ranks at Aston Villa before he made the switch here.
Ramsey, of course, is going to have to work hard off the ball. Every player has to put in a shift defensively, but when they have the ball, Burnley, he's that type of player who can get into pockets of space, will be maybe given more freedom than others. With his attacking abilities, he should be able to influence games.
Yeah, we saw signs that Nicky Hine might be willing to give him that responsibility at times in pre-season. 3-match tour of the United States and then a couple of friendlies here at Turf Moor. No wins, but it's very much something that the new head coach was using to try and embed his methods. It's on by Pablo Felipe, one of the January arrivals, along with Castellanos, who gave West Ham hope that they might be able to score enough goals to get themselves out of trouble. 39 points, still not enough to keep them up. 17 points ahead of Burnley.
You see the shape of the team when they're in possession. Even without the ball, it is very much 4-4-2. Lots of sides don't play that way anymore. It's with the kind of the lone striker. It looks as if, you know, Espirito Santo is going to attack the league with the players that he's got. He's going to take the game to every opponent. I think if they get their attitude and application right with the quality they've got, they should be fine.
And when he was last in this league with Wolves, it was very much a 3-4-3 he went with, wasn't it? Advantage played by the referee. And Solomon. He's had a full pre-season with Tottenham Hotspur, so is fit and ready to go, and he's causing some problems down that left.
He looks sharp, doesn't he? The way he manipulates that ball, keeps it so close to his feet, draws defenders in. So they see the ball, then suddenly it's whipped away from them. It's close control, absolutely outstanding. There's what, 3-4 Burnley players around him, and none of them can get a touch on the ball.
Yeah, you suspect if he can keep himself fit, he will have quite an impact in this league over the course of the season. Manor Solomon. £7 million they played Spurs. So another set-piece examination here for this Burnley rearguard that's already been breached once. Lofted in by Bowen, attacked this time by Mavropanos.
He arrives slightly late, isn't really picked up, just seems to get caught underneath the ball. That's why it goes over the bar, not underneath it. Once again, not really picked up, so Kilman's got forward to good effect. Mavropanos as well, and Burnley just not dealing with the big centre-halves.
Well, we've seen much so far in this opening weekend in the Sky Bet Championship, but one thing that we've seen here this afternoon, Andy, that we haven't seen anywhere else, is a goal from a corner. That's the first of the season so far in this league.
Love a goal from a corner.
Nicky Hine will feel the same just now. There's Kyle Walker.
He needs to show a bit more patience there. I can see what he's trying to do, but again, he's a really expansive, optimistic forward ball, and maybe just trying to keep possession. But you can see in possession, Burnley, they really do spread their players out. They're trying to play out from the back. And the way that West Ham are pressing, if they do lose it, and they have lost it already in their own defensive third, they could have problems short in defensive numbers.
A little bit of noise about whether Kyle Walker might be lured away from Turf Moor. He's certainly committed himself to staying, but you never know. Well, certainly this is the first time in 15.5 seasons since he was on loan from Spurs at QPR that Kyle Walker is playing in this division. And with his hands full up against Manuel Solomon, but he's done that really well. And brings it out, the former Manchester United man. It's to Brun Larsen. And Manson took responsibility, headed back onwards, but narrowly wide.
Yeah, it's Son with the header and not that far away. Just get turned around, West Ham, that longer forward ball, getting him back in behind the defensive line. The keeper's read it, just, you know, you put that ball out of play or put it back over the halfway line. It's a poor clearance from Hermanson, and he's lucky to get away with that. If that drops maybe to Son's boot, he could maybe turn it home, but a header from that range is very difficult.
Raguba. Well, amongst those reportedly trying to tempt Kyle Walker back to the Premier League, the Everton manager David Moyes, who's among those looking on here. Seems a long time ago for the West Ham fans that they were lifting that trophy in Prague. Bowen back to take it off the toes of Ramsey. But Edwards can try and find Fleming. Now Kyle Walker-Peters.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about the strong start Burnley made. We look at the flow of the game, the match momentum, the attacking threat that the teams have carried in these opening stages. Burnley, as you can see, started well with the claret above the line, but then West Ham just started to get on the ball, forced Burnley back, and exploited that kind of defensive aberration from the home side to take the lead. So West Ham looking pretty comfortable.
Well, if you look at the Burnley back line, you've got Bashir Humphreys on the left-hand side playing a sort of a hybrid role of full-back, centre-back. You've got Max Alleyne, who's only had a couple of training sessions with the club. Kyle Walker at centre-half, a position he's played up before and has played most of pre-season through that. And Oliver Son, the Dane who was out on loan in Czechia last season with Sparta Prague. I think it's fair to say they're still getting to know each other, and it's something that West Ham have been able to exploit with pretty similar front line to that which started in the Premier League last season. Here's the one difference, the lively Solomon. Kante. Raguba. And space for Marcus Edwards to run into, if he can keep it in.
You can see that last attack from West Ham, with them having comfortable possession. We're seeing Ollie Scars, the left-back, push forward, right forward down that left-hand side. That means their man of Solomon can go from that wide position into a more central area. So the fullback stepping forward just changes the shape of the attack, and it gives Burnley defensively much more to think about. So they're kind of mixing and matching West Ham when they go forward.
Yeah, inevitably, because they are the big dogs, or one of the big dogs in this league. They're going to have a change of approach. It was very much as they fought to stay in the Premier League last season, more of a counter-attacking approach. This year they're going to have more of the ball, certainly more of the expectation that they are to win matches on a regular basis. Teams will sit in more often against them. I've heard Nuno talk about it in the last week or so. It's going to be fascinating to watch him implement it in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, they're going to have more of the ball. Looks like they're going to play 4-4-2. They're going to engage their opponents. Then it's down to the players. You can have good players. We saw that Leicester last season. You have good players. If they don't apply themselves properly in this league, you'll get caught out. If they care about what they're doing, that kind of coach with experience behind them, and they're well organised and set up, they'll have no problem at all.
Bowen doing really well. He had no right to win that back. In snaps Hannibal. Tati Castellanos won it, but he couldn't keep it in doing so.
Great example there of the application attitude I'm talking about, with Jared Bowen, their star man, their talisman, working so hard to try and get the ball back high up the pitch.
Well, he wears the armband, he sets the standard.
And of course, the lift it must have given that West Ham dressing room as well, knowing that Jared Bowen is going to stay at the club. They probably expected the squad that key players would be leaving, but Bowen staying and nailing his colours to the mast early, I think would have been a big lift for the West Ham squad.
Yeah, and in no small part, a contributory factor to the astonishing number of season tickets that they've sold. North of 50,000 was reported recently.
Yeah, I think he could arguably be the best player we've ever seen in the Championship. You know, an established player, superstar. Of course, it's we can debate that all day long. We have a lot of young players who develop in the Championship and move on. A lot maybe really good players who come in their later years to the Championship, but Bowen is at the peak of his powers and he wants to stay in the Championship, so it benefits West Ham and it benefits the league as well.
Well, we just saw David Moyes, and he of course in his first spell in charge was the man who brought Jared Bowen to East London back in February 2020. An inspired piece of business that was.
I can never understand why it took so long for Jared Bowen to move to the Premier League, because season after season with Hull was absolutely outstanding. It wasn't a gamble in my eyes, but you know, David Moyes and West Ham went for him, and he's been absolutely brilliant for them.
Jaredona, I heard him called the other day. Here's Kyle Walker-Peters. Pablo Felipe, signing from Gil Vicente in Portugal. The goal scorer Kilman. Scars, one of the decisions that Nuno Espirito Santo would have had to make in terms of selection today was whether to play El Hadj Malik Diouf at left back, but he's kept faith with Oliver Scars, a 20-year-old who's been at the club since the age of 11.
Yeah, I just wonder whether Diouf and Wan-Bissaka are going to be full-backs that are going to be leaving the club, so players like Scars coming through and starting the season, that's a huge boost for him.
Certainly rumours that there are interested parties in terms of securing the services of El Hadj Malik Diouf and indeed Wan-Bissaka. And if you were of a suspicious mind, you could say that it's a transfer window knock that Edson Alvarez has, and is the reason he hasn't travelled, but we shall see.
So cynical.
I said if you were. Jakob Brun-Larsen. Hannibal. Edwards. Ramsey. Good work in the build-up.
It's so congested in that central area, so many West Ham players in and around Ramsey, just can't get the ball out of his feet and get a decent strike away. Again, promising. Edwards on the ball, Ramsey on the ball in that West Ham penalty area. It's just stuck underneath his feet.
He scored a couple of goals in the Championship last season during a loan spell at Leicester City. First half of the campaign, he's had his injury problems. Here's Orford. Kilman. Away by Kyle Walker. Straight to Kilman, although Fleming has wrestled it away from him. And Edwards going down in instalments as he tried to keep his feet, but was unable to do so after the initial contact.
Such a shame he couldn't stay on his feet. He's working really hard. He knows the counter-attack is on. He's looking to play a pass out to his left. He just gets caught, just gets clipped by Orford. He can't stay on his feet and keep the attack going. That's the worry for West Ham. They're dominating the game. They're squeezing up the pitch. Kilman doesn't do well there against Fleming, and they very nearly get caught on the counter.
And Manson comes to claim before Fleming can arrive. Kilman. Scarles. Orford dropping into the back line. Now the Greek international Mavropanos looking for Bowen. Humphries has gone with him. Bowen still gets it in though. Humphries away. Back to tidy up.
I see the Premier League intelligence there of Jared Bowen. It's not a ball into his feet, he just spins and makes a run in behind Bashir Humphries. He's a really difficult player to play against, Jared Bowen. For a defender, you want to know what he's going to do and do the same thing over and over again. He doesn't, Jared Bowen. He goes in field, he stays wide, he drops short and he runs in behind you. He constantly causes you problems.
Mohamedou Kante.
That's a bit too passive, this from Burnley. West Ham playing like the home side here.
Bowen shaping a cross in that was cut out by the debutant Elaine, who has Championship experience, on loan from Manchester City at Watford last season before he was recalled in January after City's injury crisis in that department. Injuries to the likes of Vardiol and Stones and such like.
Turf Moor is so quiet, the home fans, nothing to really cheer about there. It really underlines the dominance we're seeing from West Ham.
And Burnley did their best in those opening 5-10 minutes to lay down a marker, but having problems now, and this is Solomon. It's not away, it's Castellanos.
Well, I mentioned it earlier that the problems that Solomon's going to cause you when he drifts in field, he can do that because they've got comfortable possession, West Ham, and Scarles is providing the width down the left-hand side. So Solomon then drifts into pockets of space, gets away from defenders. So they've got to start dealing with this. I think they've got to get closer to the ball at source, try and close it down. It's too easy for West Ham to get high up the pitch, get their full-backs forward and get Solomon in space.
Well, during his time on loan at Leeds United, Manor Solomon had a big impact in terms of Burnley. It was his late goal in added time at the end of Leeds' game against Millwall that meant that Burnley were denied the title. Both Burnley and Leeds finished on 100 points. Leeds took the title on goal difference. It was during Burnley's last Championship season. One thing that they have done well is after relegation bounce back. The last 3 seasons they've spent in the Championship, they've responded with immediate promotion. Most recently under Vincent Kompany. He may well struggle with the comparisons with his compatriot
Yeah, I don't think really he has kind of the players that Vincent Kompany had or Scott Parker had. Vincent Kompany's side dominated the ball, really aggressive going forward. Scott Parker's side defensively so solid, hardly gave any goals away. So I think Nicky Hine's got to try and find the balance with this group of players.
Yeah, and they found a formula pretty quickly and pretty effectively over the last 2 seasons. So we're talking 92 games in this league. The last 2 seasons they spent at this level. Burnley have only lost 5 matches. That's a pretty astonishing record. Pablo sizing up his options, finding Kyle Walker-Peters. Kilman. Humphreys bringing it out of defence well before it's pulled back by Kante. And I think we all know what follows next, the yellow card from our referee Josh Smith.
Yeah, he takes one for the team because the counter-attack is all that Burnley have. They're getting pinned in, looking to break out quickly. Humphreys does so well. It's really cynical from the holding midfielder, just takes his man out. He knows if he's beaten or lets Humphreys get away, West Ham have a big problem.
Brun Larsen, Burnley need a lift. Who's going to provide it? So quiet at times you can almost hear the sound of leather on willow at the cricket ground. There's a match being played behind the stand away to our right-hand side. Zian Fleming, he has the capacity to change things and very nearly did then. Narrowly wide of the West Ham goal.
Well, it'd be disappointing because I'm looking at Max Kilman. You know, when he drops off Zian Fleming, picks up the ball, turns, it's obvious he's going to shoot. Max Kilman's just standing and watching him. He's got no one else to deal with. You've got to step forward, you've got to step onto Fleming there. And he's just reliant, Kilman, that ball is kind of pulled wide of the target. That's not good defending. Got to be more aggressive.
Pablo Felipe. Kante, Kilman. Solomon. Offside flag goes up on this near side.
Yeah, the opening half an hour of the championship season, clearly Nuno Espirito Santo is going to be a lot happier than Nicky Hine. Not just the fact his team have got the lead, they're in total control here.
Brun Larsen. Hugo Raghuba. Kante. Pablo. Solomon, who's come roaming. He's found Kyle Walker-Peters, early born in, just eluded Bowen. The West Ham fans appealing that their captain was impeded. No VAR, of course, in the Championship, so no recourse. The referee's decision final. That's something West Ham fans will need to get used to.
It's so noticeable how high up the pitch the West Ham fullbacks are getting. Scarles down the left, Walker-Peters down the right. It was his cross into Bowen for that chance.
Ramsey. Humphreys. Edwards. Brun Larsen. This is Hannibal. Brun Larsen goes for the cutback and it's lofted well over the top by Ugo Raghuba.
Well, Burnley give the ball away cheaply for this Bowen chance. Walker-Peters, I said, from fullback stepping forward. I don't think there's a foul in there. I think the two Burnley defenders do well. They just converge on Bowen. Don't think either of them really take him out whatsoever. Just that worry for Burnley when they lose the ball, give it away cheaply. The attacking players that West Ham have got, and they're high up the pitch as well, they could easily concede a second.
Coming together there, involving Kyle Walker and Jarrod Bowen, who between them have 118 England caps, 10 of which they won when playing together. Solomon. Kyle Walker-Peters. Hannibal, a little bit of space to burst into, and he's got runners with him. Hannibal going himself. Just took on one player too many.
Yeah, he does all the hard work. You've got to release the pass. He just overdoes it, but that counter-attack again, West Ham giving the ball away cheaply. Walker-Peters this time, they're opened up so easily and should be punished.
West Ham work it to Bowen, or do they? Max Weiss stoops to head out and has to come a long way to ensure that Kyle Walker-Peters doesn't get on the end of the header.
It's a brilliant counter-attack. Walker-Peters gives the ball away so cheaply. Then Burnley flooding forward. See, he's got players, he's got teammates to his left. You've got to release the pass, you've got to get your head up. If you have your head down trying to beat everybody, it's not going to happen. You see Brun Larsen so unhappy. Draw players to you and then release the pass.
And it was so good until it wasn't.
Yeah, they've had moments, Burnley, that shot from Fleming, that opportunity, that break forward from Hannibal. Just, they need that quality in key moments.
And Larsen getting back to shackle Bowen. But they've lost possession again, the Clarets. Orford. Little touch from Walker-Peters. There's Pablo, clipped out by Kyle Walker. And this is Aaron Ramsey. And up and under for Edwards to try to bring in. And doing a good job of doing so. He's seen off Scars. The youngster stuck to the task and got his reward.
Great recovery from Scarles. Young players could have been tempted to get off their feet there, try and win the ball back, but he just stays on his feet. He watches the ball and gets himself back goal side. That's all important when you lose that initial battle. Get back goal side and stay on your feet.
Orford looks to drop one over the top. Humphreys, a flick from Fleming. Now Ramsey. And West Ham have the free kick. Well, while the Hammers prepare to take this, let's mark your card for the return of the Premier League. It starts with the champions at home to the newly promoted Coventry. Friday night football from 6:30. Saturday night football sees Brentford against Spurs. That's from 5 o'clock. We've got 3 games for you on Super Sunday. Manchester City against Bournemouth. First game in charge for both the head coaches there. Brighton against Aston Villa, also available on Sunday. Then Newcastle against Liverpool. For the Monday night football finishes off the weekend. The first Monday night football A West London derby, two former Real Madrid head coaches going head-to-head. Alvaro Arbeloa and Xabi Alonso.
Brilliant from Manor Solomon there, just dropping a shoulder onto his right foot. Brilliant ball in any attacking touch there, and it's 2-0 West Ham.
Well, we've seen enough, Andy, in the first half, haven't we, to suggest that they're not going to miss Crescencio Somerville too much.
Yeah, but you look at how the game has gone. Burnley started well with that opening goal. It gave West Ham confidence, but from that point on, they've had 2/3 of the possession, so they've been the home side pretty much since they scored. The important thing is you back up, scoring that opening goal, get on the ball, dominate, the match, zip that ball around, get high up the pitch, look to try and score a second goal, and that's exactly what West Ham have done.
Well, they found Kante here. Kyle Walker blocks, but at the expense of a corner.
They've got to dig deep here. Burnley cannot afford to concede a second just before half-time.
Yeah, these are crucial moments in the context of the match just before the break.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they keep the matchups the same. Is Ramsey once again going to pick up Kilman?
And well able to clear, but there's no one up there to receive it.
Just to mention on the role of Lewis Orford as well in central midfield for West Ham. He's had a really effective first half. Yes, they've dominated the ball. He's dropping into the back line between the centre halves. It's freeing up the full-backs to step forward. The wide players then can go wherever they want to do. So Orford again playing that role really responsibly, frees up so many players around you.
And he's won it back here and gets it back. Orford finds Manor Solomon. Solomon did well actually to get his shot away given the close scrutiny he was under.
Has been a feature of his play, that ability just to manipulate the ball away from defenders in tight spaces. Brilliant again from Orford. Right decision to step forward, to win the ball back, to keep the attack going. There's just so many Burnley players around Solomon there. He just can't really get the strike away. Slightly off balance, but he's had a really good first half. You can see exactly why Nuno wanted to bring him to West Ham.
Edwards, just a heavy touch, took any momentum out of that move.
Yeah, during this first half we've had attacking flashes really from Burnley and nothing more. They've not dominated the game as you'd expect maybe a home side to do, but once again that's maybe down to how they've approached it, also how good a side West Ham are.
Well, we heard Nicky Hine when he was talking to Jonathan Oakes before the match talk about courage and needing that from his side, and they need to get back here. And Bashir Humphreys able to do so.
It's brilliant from Castellanos again, just linking the play, dropping deep the centre forward, knowing that Jared Bowen is on his way. He's kept himself on side, he's timed the run to perfection. Again, mixing up their attacking game, getting the ball into feet, at times turning Burnley around. And the centre forward just dropping in, whipping the ball around the corner. And then Burnley have a problem when you got Bowen running into your penalty area. Humphreys does well, good recovery.
Last minute of the first half. Back into added time we go. Clipped in by Bowen. Fleming back there to get his head on that. One added minute signalled by the fourth official, Tom Neild. Bowen. Come off the hand of Solomon. The referee felt it did. Well, Andy, when you think that these Burnley supporters had such slim pickings here last season, they had to watch their side score just 18 goals, get just 2 wins here, and it's a long, long time since they got the last one. You can understand why there's a little bit of an air of gloom, even though they're only just 1-0 down here at half-time.
course, those Burnley fans, they know what the Championship is all about. They know how tough it is and how good a side West Ham are, and they proved it in that first half.
Yeah, they've looked good, the Hammers. Nuno Espirito Santo's returned to the Championship. So far, so good at the break. Just the one goal in it. It came from a set piece, and it brought Max Kilman his first goal in the colours of West Ham United. Ever since they scored, they've been well on top. Much to do for Nicky Hyan in his first taste of the Championship. The half-time scoreline at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, West Ham 1. Yeah, thanks, Pete. We're getting word that Nuno Espirito Santo's going to make a change, and James Ward-Prowse, who played 14 times in the claret and blue of Burnley last season, is going to come on in the light blue of West Ham here. Hasn't always had the easiest relationship with Nuno Espirito Santo, but at this new level, he gets a chance, and he replaces Pablo. So are we going to see something of a tactical switch here?
Yeah, it depends whether it's an injury to Pablo that's forced him off, or whether it is tactical. You play that extra central midfielder and just play with one striker and not two. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, it looks at this stage like this is the only half-time change, so I'm sure there'll be a change of approach and application that Nicky Hyan will have asked for from Burnley. But in terms of personnel, it's as you were. Well, Nicky Hyan with a tough job. He only came in just about a month ago, just under. He's inherited a side that are bruised from their experiences last season. One win in their last 29 league games. The end of last season was painful, bordering on the excruciating at times. No win in their last 12 league games since they came from 2 down at Palace in February. A draw and a penalty shootout win in the Carabao Cup last weekend. A sprightly start here, but more problems in that first period as the half went on. But the good news is they're still in the game. Edwards blocked by Scarles.
Looking at that makeup of that West Ham midfield, that's like a midfield 3 now, with Ward-Prowse maybe on the right-hand side of that 3, and Bowen maybe playing a bit more centrally.
Well, Scarles is taking his time. He's been given that 5-second warning by the referee, Josh Smith, and quickly gets on with it. On by Humphreys. Off the head of Kilman. Fleming. Moved it well enough in towards Aaron Ramsey, but he couldn't do any more with it than that. Ramsey, the former Aston Villa man. And here comes Kyle Walker-Peters.
I see Ward-Prowse there in possession, just stepping forward down that right-hand side, and Bowen very definitely drifting infield, maybe becoming more of a second striker than a wide attacker.
Kante, who collected the only caution of that first half, finding Scarles. Solomon finding space in behind, and that's an inviting ball. Enough to get the debutant to lane. Concerned. Got his head to it, but not in the way that he would have wanted, I don't think.
Yeah, Burnley getting opened up. Solomon again, influential. It's a really poor defensive header. He shouldn't be heading that ball out for a corner from that cross.
Well, in the 3rd minute of the second half, we have the first West Ham corner of it, and we have James Ward-Prowse taking on corner kick duties. It was Bowen, of course, who delivered the one that led to the only goal of the game. That came in the 10th minute. Ward-Prowse. Weiss got his gloves on it.
Yeah, West Ham, we presume, going to be a really attractive team from open play, but when you got Ward-Prowse and Bowen, 2 great set-piece exponents, you expect them to score a fair number of goals from set plays as well.
And it's going to be fascinating to see how prominently he figures, James Ward-Prowse, this season. Mavropanos, Castellanos, crowded out. And Humphreys, one of the majority of this Burnley side who do have experience of the Championship and good experiences as well from their last promotion campaign. 100 points under Scott Parker, 2 years before that. 101 under Vincent Kompany. Signs on day one, though, that they're able to tap into an early formula for success. What, after all, will be one of their toughest tests, the visit of West Ham United. Not the side you want to have on day one when you're still finding your feet as a new head coach, still implementing your methods, still building your squad. On by Humphreys.
And it might well be injury that's maybe forced Pablo to go off, so a change in personnel for West Ham. But with Bowen playing now as more of a central striker, very important that Elaine and Walker just switch on to that new challenge. He's not playing out wide, he's playing at times up against you. So as centre halves, you really got to appreciate the attacking danger that Jared Bowen possesses.
Starting three, if you like, in an attacking position in Pablo, Bowen and Castellanos, very similar to those which started most of the games in the run-in last season. But that's about that in an attacking sense. They're strongly linked with Troy Parrott, the Irish international striker, and even mentions that Jamie Vardy might be lured back to English football after his spell in Italy last season. Tidy turn by Edwards. Manor Solomon tries to get back at him. Swept away by Orford.
A really good defensive positioning there for Lewis Orford again. Young man. He's exactly what is required when playing in that central midfield role. Whether they have the ball or they don't, he's popping up in just the right position time and again.
Brun Larsen gets it in. Fleming gets it, head to it, but it's straight at Hermansen.
Yeah, Brun Larsen's caused a lot of problems down that left-hand side. It's a decent cross. Decent bit of movement from Zian Fleming to get away from Kilman. Just got to try and head it towards one of the posts. Heading it down's the right choice, but got to keep it away from the goalkeeper.
Kante needs into play there with Castellanos. But Son comes across and the full-back blocks. And Burnley build once again from the back.
I think Kante's reaction there tells you absolutely everything. Again, just head down. He didn't see Solomon to his left. Get your head up. Play the pass to arguably West Ham's most impressive player so far.
Rakuba. Skulls getting the incorrect contact, but it's not a costly one. And Solomon. Orford to his left. He's elected to find Kante. Burnley have plenty back behind the ball now.
This is where Burnley need to engage a little bit more. It's too passive from the home side. They're just sitting back in their own half and just watching West Ham stroke the ball around.
There was barely a department in the first half in which West Ham were not dominant. Skulls. Orford. Solomon. Kante. Walker-Peters.
This is the pattern we really saw for the majority of the first half as well. West Ham just in comfortable control of the ball.
Kilman looking for Solomon. Edwards. Now Hannibal.
Wasteful again from Burnley. You see Edwards in possession there. They've got 2 against 1. They've got Son supporting Edwards up against Scarles, who's just completely isolated. You've got to play the fullback in there, draw the defender, play the ball to the fullback on the overlap and get a dangerous cross in. It's just, they go back in field, they go back into traffic, and it's just a snapshot. It's hit and hope really from Hannibal.
Perhaps no surprise to see movement on that Burnley bench. For Zeki Amdouni, the Swiss international striker, I saw getting ready there. Josh Laurent as well, the former Stoke City midfielder, looked like he was getting stripped and ready for action. Ramsey. Kyle Walker. Edwards to his right, but Walker seeks Fleming, finds him, and that's a chance. That's a chance for Zian Fleming, and the best we've seen from Burnley in this second half.
Yeah, decent ball in. Fleming doing the right thing, getting in between the 2 centre-halves. Neither getting close enough to him. I think it's Mavropanos' responsibility. He's over on that side. You've got to get closer than that. They're both watching the ball, the defenders. That's why Fleming has the opportunity, but just can't keep it down.
Well, that'd encourage Burnley and their supporters, and this is Edwards. Hannibal now. Finally, a bit of Burnley pressure for the home fans to get their teeth into. Front foot approach. It was earned them a corner.
Yeah, just a little bit of sloppiness defensively from West Ham. Ollie Scarles, the left back, has been left isolated. The Son has stepped forward down the right hand side for Burnley.
So here come the changes. That's that for the debut of Ugo Raghuba. Josh Laurent will come on and replace him. And Hannibal is going to be withdrawn with Zeki Amdouni on in his place. Win Larson with the Burnley corner. And look for the run of Fleming, but Mavropanos is able to glance away. Amdouni immediately into action. Goal kick, the verdict.
Just that lack of quality again from Burnley. Amdouni, okay, he's fresh on, so not let him get away with making that early mistake. Just the weight of the forward pass is not good enough. It doesn't give his teammate a chance of getting a cross in or even keeping the ball in play. They need to sharpen up in that final third.
Ward-Prowse giving chase. It's going to be in vain because Weiss clips it away. Well, the introduction of Zeki Amdouni at the top end of the pitch has certainly given Burnley a little more up there. Fleming playing slightly more to the left-hand side, and on the right we've got Marcus Edwards.
Yeah, Ramsey's just dropped a little bit deeper alongside Josh Laurent, central midfield. talking about the opportunities the sides have had. More from distance, really, from Burnley. West Ham have got close to the target and had better quality of chances.
It's still just the one goal in it. Max Kilman's first for the club on 10 minutes. Well, it was Mavropanos and Disasi, wasn't it? The central defensive pairing of choice at the end of last season, but will Disasi be lured back? We shall see. If not, Kilman finding form would certainly be very encouraging as Anduni looks for a way beyond Ward-Prowse. Anduni was involved in the World Cup with Switzerland before exiting at the hands of Argentina in the quarter-final in Kansas. Here's Josh Lauren. He thought he was going to be able to bring it forward along with several other thousand in here, but the fact that Tati Castellanos is down does mean that the referee is going to wave on some treatment for the Argentinian.
It looks like a head injury. It's a solid header from Kyle Walker, only has eyes for the ball. He doesn't do anything wrong, it's just he gets there slightly late. The centre forward does get caught. The referee, of course, can't take a chance when it's a possible head injury, so they're frustrated, Burnley, because they're on the up, they're playing well, they're dominating the ball, they're squeezing West Ham back. This will just slow them down, but it was a painful one for the striker.
Well, there are some tremendous contests thrown up in the Sky Bet Championship this season, and one of them certainly kicks off tomorrow night. Live from the Welsh capital, Wrexham come from the north. 7 o'clock, Sky Sports Football. West Ham will renew a few acquaintances themselves as the season goes on. They've got London Derby to kick things off next time out at the London Stadium against Charlton. And of course in the slightly extended first portion of the season before the extended international break at the end of September and into October. And before we break for that in mid-September, a trip south of the river to the new den, Millwall West Ham. Edwards. Lovely shape on that. Fleming meets it. Huge let-off as it comes back off the post. Well, this is all so much better from Burnley.
Yeah, it has been a feature of this second half. They're getting the ball wide, they're getting dangerous crosses in time and time again, and so unlucky not to have scored. So many headed chances. Should really he'd be burying this one. Brilliant ball in from Edwards. He's maybe kind of jumping through Mavropanos, so it's not, it's not goal side of his man by any means. He does well to get his head on it, but again, you'd expect that maybe just to nestle in the corner. It's just at the moment not Burnley's day.
Foul on James Ward-Prowse. So a free kick here for the visitors.
No two halves of football, certainly in the Championship, are the same. This second half much better from Nicky Hines Burnley. As you can see there, the crosses into that West Ham box. They're dominating the game, they're squeezing the back, and they're getting quality crosses into the box now. And really, from that Edwards ball in, they should have equalised.
4 shots, and Zian Fleming has had 3 of them. He's been at the thick of it at the top end of the pitch. Getting closer. Time for Bowen to step up, perhaps, which is what he looks to do before he's blocked by Elaine. Kante. And they're getting in and about West Ham a little bit more than they were in the first period.
They're far too passive in that first half, start of the second half. Now they've been a lot more aggressive. And West Ham maybe just easing off ever so slightly, and that is encouraging Burnley forward.
Very different feel about Turf Moor just at the moment. The home support are back involved. Edwards. Glenn Larson. Humphreys. Last-ditch stuff from the West Ham right-back Carl Walker-Peters.
A sign of Burnley's dominance with a centre-half so high up the pitch, virtually on the byline, looking to get a cross in. They're squeezing West Ham.
Clipped in by Brun Larson. Fleming! Denied again from close range, Ian Fleming. And getting closer and closer and closer. Oh, Burnley. Castellanos is down. Looks like he got a knock to the face, but West Ham are rocking.
Yeah, Skulls, right place, right time, but really Ian Fleming just mistimes the header. It comes off his shoulder. If he makes solid contact with the forehead, I think he equalises. Gets away from his man. Nice strong play. He just mistimes it, so then he can't really get the accuracy. It just skims off his shoulder onto the defender's head. Another golden chance for Fleming and Burnley gone.
Eased out of the way by Tati Castellanos, who will collect a yellow card.
I think this possibly is a little bit of payback from Castellanos on Kyle Walker, who caught him earlier, but there was nothing sinister about Kyle Walker's challenge on him. He just got there late and was caught on the head. He just seems to maybe think he owes Kyle Walker one and just maybe leans into him here.
Well, listen to this. The scoreline might read the same, but everything else feels so different. The sort of connection that Nicky Hyan has been talking about in the build-up to the game, getting the fans involved, heart on your sleeve type performances. It feels a little bit more like that.
Now you look at Castellanos again. He's nowhere near the ball. He's playing the man, not the ball. He has a look at Walker. No interest in playing the ball, playing the man, and that's because Walker caught him earlier, but Walker did nothing wrong with his challenge on him. Again, as a coach, you're reliant on players just showing a bit of common sense, and that is a really silly challenge to make. You get booked, that changes the way you play the rest of the game. You might even have to take him off, because you run the risk of him getting sent off.
Well, at times in that first half, it was resembling a genteel Sunday afternoon stroll in the Lancashire Hills for the East Londoners. Not anymore. Mavropanos.
I think the West Ham change of personnel hasn't really helped them. They don't look like the team they were in the first half, with Bowen playing more centrally, not out wide. But I just think Burnley just far more aggressive, stepping onto West Ham, making it far less comfortable for them.
Josh Laurent. Alain. Walker. Back to Marcus Edwards. Back it comes again. Scarl stretching, but only diverting it into the path of Edwards. Space here for Josh Laurent. We've got the wrong club out of the bag there.
I just wonder whether it'd been better served just smashing that at the target. Really unselfish, looking to pick out a teammate. In such a dangerous area, no one really close to him. Maybe should have just taken the shot on.
He's a fairly central figure in the last promotion campaign, Josh Laurent. 44 appearances. Fleming.
A great example there of the Burnley aggression. I've just been talking about they needed to do this a lot more. They didn't do it in the first half. Doing it a lot more in the second as West Ham just started to creep back with the changes that Nuno's had to make, really. I just think Nicky Hyan's side looking a lot more positive and stepping onto the away team here.
Press. Mavropanos. Walker-Peters. Bowen. Scarls. West Ham would love to find a way to get Manor Solomon involved in the way that he was in the first half. But Burnley have pretty effectively cut off that avenue, haven't they, in the second?
Just like maybe James Ward-Prowse has been asked to play a bit more centrally, so a bit more kind of concentrated in the middle of the park. He's not out on that right-hand side, so maybe that's Bowen to drift out there or Walker-Peters to step forward, but maybe just an extra man in central midfield now for them.
Most have made their way forward here for West Ham, including the goal scorer Kilman. Oh, great chance for Kilman to get there. Bowen had a swing. He can't believe that that was blocked.
It was actually blocked by his own man Kilman, who was on the floor.
Kante, nice trickery to take him away from Edwards, but I think he might have carried that out of play, has he? No, it's come back and buried by Manor Solomon. Solomon delivers for West Ham on his debut. And even though they're 20 minutes to play, West Ham will feel they've got a very strong grip on the points here.
Excuse the pun, but this is a hammer blow for Burnley. They've been in the ascendancy, they've had chance after chance and not taken them, and they've been caught out here defensively. You know, Kilman has a chance, mistimes the header. Bowen hits Kilman with the strike, and it is really good work from Kante to get in behind that Burnley defence. But you know, Marcus Edwards, he's no defender, but he's beaten far too easily. He's allowed to carry the ball far too far. They don't want to make a challenge. The whole of the ball hasn't gone out of play, so carry on playing, and Solomon has just backed the play up. As defenders watch the ball, he's in space and he absolutely buries it, and mountain to climb now for Burnley.
His last season in the Championship, he scored 10 vital goals as he helped Leeds get to promotion. He struck a big blow on day one here for his new club, West Ham United.
How many times do we see this? A team is dominating the game, has chances, doesn't score. They give their opponents one opportunity, or their opponents maybe create an opportunity, because Kante certainly did that, and then suddenly 1-0 is 2-0, long way back.
Bowen. Well, they started the first half well, Burnley, then faded early on and were second best for most of it. They've been substantially the best for most of this second period, but here they are, a mountain to climb, 2-0 down with 17 minutes plus added time to play.
And they've had chances as well and passed them up. Ian Fleming from that corner was probably the pick of the bunch, post as well. But if you don't score in any league against a team like West Ham, you're going to have a problem, because they will come at you.
Lofted in by Bowen. I
think you'd be impressed with the way his side have approached the second half in an attacking sense, but The goals they've given away, so poor. Credit West Ham for sticking the ball in the net, but defensively, Burnley, you've got to do more to keep opponents out.
Orford. Well, the West Ham fans loving the contribution of Orford. They did. A 53,000 record crowd that turned up last weekend for the win against Portsmouth. All-time record for the first round of the Carabao Cup. He sparkled on that occasion, and he's doing a decent job in there today as well. Walker-Peters. Kante looks to have kept himself onside, but Elaine takes care of the situation.
Yeah, you're right about Lewis Orford. You know, that role, a lot of times it can kind of go unnoticed, but it is so important to the functioning of the team, and now he's got Ward-Prowse in there as well, so it's a three-man central midfield, so even harder for Burnley maybe to play through those areas, and of course they need to get 2 goals rather than 1 to get back in the game, so it's getting more and more difficult for Burnley.
Edwards. Missed over hits, and nothing to be done about that, despite the stretch from Oliver Son.
Yeah, Burnley had their opportunities. Probably the best one is from the corner with Ian Fleming. He muscles his way to the ball and then just completely mistimes the header. Comes off his shoulder. Scars has done well to get round on the cover, protecting the target. So he should really score there, make it 1-1. He doesn't. And then Kante here just runs away from Edwards far too easily, keeps it alive, and Solomon buries it. Very difficult to see Burnley getting back into it from here.
So a couple more Burnley changes made. Amanda Breuer coming on to beef up the front line, and Lucas Pires at the back. His 3rd season, the Brazilian, since he moved from Santos. Dooney. Brun Larsen. Brun Larsen again, and Orford there. Stuck with him, behind for a corner. Brun Larsen whips it in. It was Bowen who got his head to it first. Laurent had a swing. Goal kick, the verdict from Josh Smith, the referee. Well, no one said it would be easy. His only previous experience of football in the British Isles came with Haverfordwest County 5 years ago. Did a good job there, actually. Kept them in the Welsh Premier League. And subsequently managed in the Champions League with Club Brugge. Engineered a win over Aston Villa. And it looks like on day one, his first taste of this division, it's going to end up empty-handed. Both Vincent Kompany and Scott Parker started their impressive promotion campaigns with a win. Looks like Burnley are going to start with a defeat.
That's the problem that he's got. You keep comparing them to what's gone before and the success that Parker and company had. But again, it is just game 1. I think if you're performing like this or giving goals away as cheaply as this after maybe game 10, I think you start to ask bigger questions. But it's game 1 against a good side. But there have been some good aspects to Burnley's play. They've had chances.
Bowen has been caught fairly heavily. Well, no doubt about it that Burnley are a work in progress. There's Alan Pace in the centre of the picture there, who runs the show here. We've already seen Maxime Esteve, Luntuna, Leslie Ugachukwu, Florentino depart for a record fee before West Ham paid that one in the week for Arne Engels. Jadon Anthony's gone, Luka Kolyosho gone as well. 4 of the top 5 appearance makers from last season have gone, 6 of the top 9. So they're in the midst, really, Burnley, of a pretty substantial rebuild. And at times today it's looked like that. At times we've seen what promise may lurk around the corner.
Yeah, for both clubs, you expected them to sell players after relegation, but the ability West Ham have to, sign players, bring them in, spend some money. Again, Burnley may be struggling just to do that, just to flesh the squad out, improve it.
Bowen. On by Manor Solomon. In by Scarles. Weiss should make that his, and indeed does. And Broja, the Albanian international. One of the questions is whether they can get him firing this season, whether they can keep him fit. Josh Laurent. Here comes Hermansen.
Once again, that lack of quality, attacking quality from Burnley. They've suffered throughout the game. The pass or the cross has not been good enough, then the finish hasn't been as clinical as it needs to be. The game could have been different. If you don't take your chances against a decent side, you're going to have a problem.
Laurent looks direct. Another misplaced pass, and the cheers that were around Turf Moor before they conceded the second goal turned to more familiar groans. Jakob Brun-Larsen has impressed at times this afternoon. So his afternoon is over, and on comes Mike Tresor. Another veteran of the previous championship campaigns that Burnley have had to take on successfully. Penalty. Scarles went in on the challenge. Edwards went down, and the referee pointed to the spot.
Is this a challenge you really need to make? You're in your own penalty area. Unless you're absolutely sure you're going to cleanly win the ball, it's a risk, and he doesn't win the ball. It's really clever from Marcus Edwards. He sees the defender coming, and he just moves the ball out of the way, and it's a bit of a reckless challenge more than anything else. It's an unnecessary challenge. He's a youngster, he's going to make mistakes. How costly could that prove?
So a lifeline.
I think a more experienced defender, fullback in that situation, realises unless you're sure you're going to win it, just stay on your feet, stay goal side, don't go, diving in, getting off your feet. You run the risk.
Well, it looked like it was going to be Amdouni, who's got a perfect career penalty record of 7 out of 7, but he hands it to Zian Fleming. 100% record in the colours of Burnley last season, 2 out of 2. Let's see what Hermansen can do here. Fleming takes, Fleming scores, and Burnley believe again. A little bit of afters as Fleming tries to get the ball back. And Burnley look to get on with things. A melee in the goal mouth. But just under 7 minutes plus. Plenty of added time, you would think, at the end. And Burnley have new hope injected.
Yeah, it's a really confident penalty from Zian Fleming. He's had his chances in the game. He hasn't let that affect him mentally. He wanted to take that penalty, wanted to bury it, and he did so. It's not easy for a striker when you've missed chance after chance, but he wanted to take that, so he showed that mental strength. When you miss chances as a striker, you're always going to do that, but can you tuck one home when it comes along? And he's done that. He's got Burnley back in the game. It's a good penalty.
Card shown as a result of the coming together there. Ian Fleming has got one, and I think Mads Hermansen has got one as well.
And it just shows how quickly a game can flip. Just one poor defensive decision, trying to win a ball that wasn't there to be won. There's a fair chunk of time left to play as well, so it's just piled pressure on West Ham. But as I say, youngster making that challenge, experienced defender probably doesn't.
Away by Elaine. Fleming using his body well, just keeping the right side of the law. A slice from Mavropanos. Amdouni. Overhit that one, a little eager to force the issue, perhaps leaves Son and a fair few others inside turf more frustrated.
It's difficult when you're chasing the game, you're trying to play at 100 miles an hour to get that equaliser, just to find that composure, that quality they desperately need.
Scarl's taking too long, he was warned, given the 5-second rule, so it's now a Burnley throw. Broja gets the return, he's in behind here, Broja. Cool heads needed for the Hammers. Solomon, the scorer of the second, and as it stands, the decisive goal, seeking to provide it. He's signalled over to the bench that he's got nothing left to give, and he's going to be substituted. Solomon's still signalling that he needs to come off, but it's a change at left-back. Skulls, who's a little rattled after giving away the penalty, perhaps being saved from himself. And on comes the experience of El Hadj Malik Diouf.
Yeah, aside from that rash challenge, he's had a really good game, Skulls, but I think this is it's the right call from Nuno Espirito Santo, sending on a more experienced left-back. If you've got him on the bench, and maybe your left-back who's out there is having a bit of a problem, make the change.
Here comes Pires for Burnley. Back to Josh Lova. Misplaced pass at the most unfortunate of times. Castellanos just clipped, and West Ham have the free kick.
That's good play from the centre forward. It's not all about scoring goals, it's about keeping hold of the ball, drawing challenges, especially at this stage of a game that you're leading. Just draw the foul, get your team back on the ball, get your team up the pitch.
Well, one of the arrivals over the close season was that man you see in your picture, the experienced former Dutch international, former Brighton player Joel Veltman. We'll see who he will come on for. They've replaced the left back. Who are they going to replace here? Broja. Pires. Laurent has a go. Any sort of touch there would surely have carried it close.
Yeah, the strike was always going wide. It's just whether Fleming or Son could just redirect it goalwards. Just can't get a boot on it. He's wildly optimistic it's not going in, but a touch could easily take it in.
So Manor Solomon, fine debut from him. He's done his bit, will do no more, and the slightly more defensively minded Joel Veltman will come on and try and see West Ham across the line. Max Alain. Broken up by Ward-Prowse, who had it but couldn't hold it, and this is Pires. Brilliant touch from Veltman and anticipation, but the danger not clear yet. Amdouni, over it goes.
Yeah, he just goes for too much power, loses the precision, the accuracy. Just trying to combine the two. You're a fair distance from goal, so it needs a fair bit of oomph, but you just need to keep that down. You take a little bit off it, keep it away from the goalkeeper, keep it on target. I thought Veltman would go in and play as an extra centre-half. He's actually playing at right-back. Walker-Peters has come right over to the left-hand side. He's playing where Solomon was.
All eyes on the fourth official, Tom Neal, to see how much time he's going to tag on here. As the answer, 5 minutes. A roar of encouragement from the home support. Amdouni. Edwards. Lovely shake on that. Well, the Burnley fans feel that their man inside the penalty area there, Amdouni, was impeded. The referee didn't feel that way, but he has given the corner.
Yeah, Amdouni just makes that run from deep towards the far post. There seems to be some contact on him. Not sure he was actually fouled, knocked off his feet. I think he feels a little bit of contact and goes down.
Hermansen doing enough.
Fleming!
Chance after chance came, chance after chance went. But when it really mattered, the Dutchman has stepped up. One from the spot, and one through the hearts of Nuno Espirito Santo and West Ham. From 2-0 up, they've let this one slide, and Burnley surely have a point. 2-2.
Yeah, 2-0 down. There was no way back for Burnley the way the game was going. I think that Scarl's challenge, the award of the penalties, giving them a lift, but I think for strikers, for Zian Fleming, it is about mental strength. He's missed so many opportunities, but he's kept believing, he's kept going. He's backed himself in the penalty spot. It's not the cleanest strike, it doesn't matter. It ends up in the back of the net. Great character from Nicky Hyen's side.
Fortune favours the brave, and Burnley have stepped onto West Ham in this second half. It would have been so easy, given what has gone before, given the treacherous season that they had last year, for heads to go down when they went 2-0 down. But what a response. We haven't finished here yet. Walker-Peters. Is there another twist in this tale? Al-Hajj Malik Diouf. Castellanos trying to get there. Walker-Peters does. I'm sure there was a foul in there, and the referee saw it that way. Burnley coming forward. Pires making the dart out wide. This is Broja. This is still Broja. This is Pires. And Veltman shepherds it back with the welcoming arms of Hermansen.
Burnley done so well to claw their way back into the game. It's not been pretty at times, but what they've done ever so well, they've been from open play, set place, they put the ball into the West Ham box. They've had so many questions of that West Ham defence, and eventually they managed to break through.
Fabulous persistence by Zian Fleming, who had the opportunities in the first half, and then the header that hit the post, the one that came off his shoulder and was cleared off the line, but 2 of his last 4 touches have bulged the back of the West Ham net and look to have earned a point. Transform the scoreline, transform the mood. Where it looked bleak, now there is optimism for the Burnley supporters. Had so little to get their teeth into over recent months, but that's in by El Hadj Malik Diouf. Fleming. Of course, clipped by El Hadj Malik Diouf, who'll go into the book.
Well, it's really cynical. I think Zian Fleming's had a little look at the goalkeeper here and thinks I can maybe float that ball over him. Just gets his head up, has a look. I think it's just that clip of the heels from Diouf. He knows exactly what he's doing. Can't allow Fleming to shoot.
Well, we started the weekend with late drama and a 2-2 draw, and here we are this Sunday afternoon with exactly the same. There's the moment from Zian Fleming.
Sometimes when you scuff the strike, it ends up bypassing all the defenders, finding the corner. If you strike that cleanly, it probably cannons back off one of the West Ham players in there. It comes off his ankle probably more than anything else, but it just squeezes in. That's all that matters. And I tell you what, individually, he's really underlined it. This recovery from Burnley, it's about quality, but it's about character, belief, resilience, everything you need to be successful in the Championship. We've seen from Burnley, they've just kept going.
And he'll be so pleased. The game was getting away from them at half-time, but tweaks in terms of personnel eventually, and also in terms of approach, and they've got their reward.
Yeah, I think when Manor Solomon slams that second goal in for West Ham, I don't think many Burnley fans would believe they can get back into the game, but it's that penalty, that challenge from Scarles. It's a rash challenge. Of course, you've still got to score the penalty, which Fleming does. It just gives Burnley belief, gets them back in the game, and they've just pushed on from there.
Well, Fleming limping off on this near side after the challenge that earned the yellow card for Diouf. Substitutions have been used, so we'll see exactly how long he will stay off. I'm sure he'll come on in some capacity when allowed. Broja for Burnley. Surely it's now or never for the Clarets. In the 7th minute of added time. Bowen can't hold it. Broja does. Well, a full-time reaction that tells you all. Second half heroics from Burnley. Before we get our teeth into it, we will say goodbye to our viewers on Sky Sports Main Event who need to dash off to go and watch the final of the Men's 100. For those of you who are staying with us on Sky Sports Football, well, what a comeback. What encouragement for Nicky Hyan. It looked a lost cause when they went down. A first-half goal, tamely surrendered. A first for the Hammers for Max Kilman from a corner. And when they made it 2-0 with Manor Solomon,